The windshield wipers are screeching across ice again. I grip the steering wheel so hard my knuckles are practically white, and another blast of wind shakes the car. April in New England is notorious for pretending winter's over when it's really just taking a little break. The lemon lavender cake I ordered is sitting in my lap, kept warm by the seat heater and my legs. Brooke's engagement party has to be perfect. She deserves a sister who will drive through a crazy storm to bring her that cake. She's totally worth every single mile, every hour, every time I had to stop and clear the ice off the windshield. She always has been. My phone dings. I briefly look at the weather alert and the road ahead just vanishes into white. It says a historic April storm is getting worse, and all non-essential travel is strongly discouraged. It's 4:00 a.m. Feels like forever ago. I woke up before my alarm, already checking the weather. The meteorologist's serious face filled my phone. It was the worst April storm in ages, they said. Unless absolutely necessary, don't go out. I remember rolling my eyes at the word necessary. Family is always necessary. The winter emergency kit was rattling around in my trunk as I left my place, making sure I had checked everything off the list I'd made the night before. Flares, blankets, protein bars, extra windshield washer fluid, and tire chains already on. The conservation work I did at the museum taught me that preparation is everything. It's how you survive, whether you're preserving old art or making it through a blizzard. It was crazy driving in that stuff. The baker's words are still ringing in my ears. I'll never forget her face when I picked up that cake at the crack of dawn. She practically threw my $160 back at me. "Your sister must be something special," she muttered. I'd stopped to clear my windshield like 5 times already, and this Vermont gas station was number 6. The wind cut right through me as I scraped away the ice. Each swipe was like uncovering an old painting, peeling back layer after layer of that icy crud. Funny, my conservation training popped into my head. Sometimes the most precious things need the gentlest touch to save them. 3 texts from Brooke, unanswered. 2 hours left. Almost there. The gas station mirror showed me the truth. I was wiped out. Shadows under my eyes. I traded my snow boots for heels, that awful fluorescent light making me look sickly pale as I tried to fix my hair and lipstick. At least that grimy mirror couldn't see the hope I had, hidden beneath all the tiredness. Hope that this time would be different, that all this effort would mean something. My parents both went straight to voicemail. "Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Just wanted to let you know I'm about an hour away. The roads are terrible, but I'm driving real slow. Can't wait to see you all." The last part of the drive was crazy winding mountain roads. Then, like magic, the snow turned their huge house into something out of a fairy tale, all stone and high towers, the windows shining with warm light. A valet was huddled under the awning. His eyes went wide as I pulled up. "Are you with catering?" he asked. He was looking in my window, holding a clipboard tight. "Nope," I grinned, hugging the cake. "I'm family, after all, the bride's sister." His eyes flicked to the clipboard. He checked it, then checked again. He asked for my keys. The foyer glowed with gold light and quiet chatter. Snow melted off my coat, making little puddles on the marble. That cake got heavier with every step I took towards the main room. Silence fell, quiet like snow, as I stepped inside. A bunch of fancy people in their best clothes turned around, glasses stopped mid-air. I searched the crowd for someone I knew. Mom's perfect silver hair, Dad's tall figure, Brooke's bright smile. Nothing, then I saw her. My sister was across the room, wearing a white dress, a champagne glass up in the air. We locked eyes. Her hand was shaking. Right then, seeing the surprise wash over my sister's face, I knew I messed up big time. My sister's always worth it, but maybe I should have thought about whether I was worth it to her. "You actually came in this weather." Brooke's arms barely wrapped around me, her expensive perfume strong next to the snow on my coat. She stepped back fast, smoothing her white dress like my coat could leave a mark. Mom showed up behind her, fiddling with her pearls. "We didn't save you a seat," she whispered, her voice echoing across the marble floor. "This photographer, he's just there, camera down, totally ignoring me like I'm invisible. It's Jenna Brooke's wedding." My dad, all stiff and proper, pauses. "Older sister," he says, and the words just hang there. Everyone else is all smiles, clinking glasses, making small talk. I felt so out of place, like I crashed the party. I saw the place cards, all fancy writing. Anderson, Blackwood, Caldwell, all the right Caldwells. My name nowhere. This cake felt heavier with every step. I was carrying it to the gift table and all my training kicked in. "Stay calm, steady hands. Don't let them see how much this hurts." One of the bridesmaids, this champagne-colored dress, she's watching me like a hawk, lips all tight. Who brought that? She hisses. It doesn't match the theme. I put the cake down, perfectly centered, trying to be all neat and precise. My fingers just lingered on the box. I kept thinking of the baker's worried face. $160 for a cake nobody wanted. Yeah, I got the message. Excuse me, I mumbled. My own voice sounded so weird. I need to find the restroom. This place is huge, a giant maze of rich people stuff. Every hallway exactly the same, all fancy and gilded. The paintings on the walls, they all looked so fake and stiff, like my sister's smile. My heels clicked on the marble floor, echoing in my head until my phone buzzed. A notification popped up on my phone, illuminating the screen. I didn't know the chat group's name. Brooks, perfect day planning. My number was in there, totally by accident, a stranger among people I knew. My finger hovered over the screen. My art restoration training taught me that the most painful secrets are often hidden under the surface, like those ghostly paintings that show the artist's original ideas. I started scrolling up. Brooke's message from a couple of weeks ago was right there. She doesn't fit the vibe. We'll just say the list was full. Another message came after. Don't worry. She'll probably never make it through the storm anyway. My legs gave out, and I caught myself on the marble vanity. My face looked back at me in the ornate mirror, shattered into pieces. My professional makeup was running down my face, and my hair was coming undone. The person looking back at me looked like someone who just realized she's been practicing for the wrong show. Taking a wrong turn down a service hallway saved me from going back to the party. I could hear the laughter coming from the kitchen, familiar laughter that once felt like home and friendship. She drove for 10 hours through a blizzard. Brooke's voice was a little slurred. Champagne maybe in her words. What a shame. Cupcake. What if she had crashed? I heard another voice. Taryn, Brooke's college bestie. I would welcome the quiet and the sympathy. Our thoughts and prayers are with her. The sound of glasses clinking over their giggles cut through the air. I'm leaning against the wall, trying to stay upright because the floor feels like it's moving. I'd been keeping it together, you know. Every single holiday, every birthday, every time Brooke needed something, it was all me. Like I was that old paint that gets scraped away during a renovation. Are you okay, dear? This older lady in a black catering uniform is right there, looking worried. She puts her hand on my shoulder and it feels warm through my dress, which is now freezing. Come on, sit down. She leads me to a little spot and pulls out tissues from her apron. Take a second. Thanks, I'm shredding the tissue. I've been catering for this family for ages. Her voice is full of knowing. They do this to everyone. Last Christmas, it was their cousin, and before that, their aunt. My phone feels heavy in my hand, and this urge to document the damage like a conservator whispers. Save the proof, right? The words stick with me. Could you record what they're saying, just for a minute? She gets it, and her eyes light up. She takes my phone and comes back 3 minutes later. The recording can wait. Right now, I just walk back through those marble halls, past the paintings that don't care anymore. My coat feels like armor as I put it on. Ma'am, the lady's worry seems real as I step out into the storm. The roads are getting bad. The wind and snow hit my face, but it feels better than the cold I feel inside. You can see some storms coming. The keys feel secure in my hand. Some of them just blindside you. My car vanished into the snowstorm, the party lights shrinking in my rearview mirror. That cake, still on their fancy tablecloth, cost me $160, $160 for showing up for people who never really wanted me there. The wipers fought the falling snow, each sweep like a tick of the clock, showing me a few more feet of road. It wasn't the way I came, but the way I was going now, heading home. The Starlight Motel sign blinked on and off against the dark gray sky, its light dancing across my windshield. 20 miles felt too far, and not far enough all at once, from that whole crazy family thing. The guy at the desk barely looked up from his book, just shoved a key across the counter. He didn't even notice my fancy dress or that my mascara was all smudged. Room 114 was basic. Old wallpaper, harsh fluorescent lights. No pretending here, no fancy stuff, just a clean bed and the quiet hum of the heater. My heels clicked on the floor as I went to the bathroom. Looking in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked like someone who'd driven through a blizzard to give a bunch of people a beautiful cake, only to realize she wasn't even invited to her own sister's wedding. I took off my makeup, each wipe revealing a little more of the truth I'd been ignoring. That emerald green dress, perfect for Brooke's wedding colors, hung sadly on the plastic hanger, It was just a discarded dream in that cheap motel bathroom light. My phone's dead on my nightstand, a dark rectangle glaring at me with 67 unread messages. I just shut it off hard. Silence felt better than all that drama. Outside, it's snowing like crazy, big flakes melting into the darkness as soon as they hit the ground. And suddenly, all these memories flood back. I'm 12, pushing 8-year-old Brooke out of the way of a falling branch. I got a scar, sure, but everyone acted like I was a hero for a minute. Then, 16, skipping the school dance to stay with her after her first boyfriend dumped her. And at 23, I co-signed her apartment lease. Our parents wouldn't do it, but I knew she needed to learn how to be on her own. Looking out at the snow, it's like I can see it all laid out, a pattern, clear as day. Every single thing I did for her, she just saw it as her right, not something I did out of love. Every time I protected her, she twisted it to make me look like some kind of control freak. And whatever I accomplished, she made sure to downplay it, like she was scared I'd steal her spotlight. The first tear slid down my face. I didn't even bother wiping it away. This isn't even the hurt yet, that's coming. These feel different, like the world finally made sense, like I've finally seen what she's been doing to me for years, all in one night. Then morning hit, bright sunlight reflecting off the fresh snow, making everything look washed out and stark. I turned my phone back on. The notifications were still there, buzzing away. Mom, you embarrassed your sister. How could you, Dad? Mom and Dad really let me have it. We expected better, Brooke, they said. You messed everything up again. Their messages blew up my phone, 14 missed calls, 23 texts. Crazy. Not a single one checking if I was okay after that monster storm. Not a single text to see if their oldest daughter had made it through those killer mountain roads. It's like they've already decided what happened, and I'm not even part of the story. They've already written me off as the bad guy. I knew what I'd see on Instagram, but I had to look anyway. Brooke's page loaded, showing off all these perfect pictures from last night. Her and her friends, arms linked, pretending I wasn't even there. Mom and Dad are beaming, all smiles with Brooke clinking champagne glasses. Fake laughter, the whole thing looked staged. Her caption, "Perfect night with everyone who truly matters, blessed family first." Those words felt like a punch to the gut. I posted my own pictures. I didn't even have to think about it. There was the untouched birthday cake in my car, the sunrise hitting the frosting, my car practically buried in snow, and me in a motel mirror, looking like a mess in a huge sweater instead of my fancy dress. My eyes were all puffy, even with the makeup smeared. My caption just came out. Sometimes you show up for people who wouldn't even bother to clear your name off a sidewalk. Susan Mackenzie, who lived next door when we were kids, was the first to comment. Yeah, this doesn't shock me one bit. Remember Christmas dinner? They totally blew off mentioning my PhD defense. More messages keep popping up, years of them ignoring me, all coming to light now. I deserved way better than their messed up head games. They pulled the same crap on my brother last Thanksgiving, too. I've been too scared to say anything until now. They did the exact same thing to my cousin, sending you love. My phone rings its mom. Her voice, all sweet and fake, it's the same manipulative tone. She wants me to delete that post, says I'm embarrassing the whole family. What will people think, she whines. Then Dad texts, family matters are private, he says. You've gone too far. Brooke's text went from how could you to you've ruined everything. Then it was mom's crying because of you. Finally, she says, delete it or don't even bother coming to the wedding. The last text is from the family group chat. Brunch tomorrow at LeBlanc's, 11 sharp. Be there if you want to fix this. I typed back, my fingers steady. I'll be there, and I'm bringing proof. The snow keeps falling outside. Each snowflake feels like a choice: keep quiet and pretend everything's fine, or tell the truth and face the music. The answer was clear, like a fresh blanket of snow hiding the old mess. I ordered coffee from the diner. The steam warmed my hands as I watched cars carefully inching along the roads after the storm, feeling their way. Then I remembered. Mom was coaching Brooke on how to smile for the family photos, tweaking it till it looked natural. Remember, honey, she'd always say, the picture's gotta be perfect, even if things aren't. That coffee scalded my tongue, but the bitter heat helped push away my last little bit of hesitation. Tomorrow's brunch was gonna be a whole lot rougher than just French toast and fake smiles. They craved that perfect family photo, but I had something else planned. I looked in the bathroom mirror of room 114, barely even recognizing myself. My fingers went over everything laid out on that grungy counter, just like I handle priceless artwork back at the museum. That tiny speaker held yesterday's truth, all tucked away safe and sound. The gas receipt showed 497 miles driven through that brutal winter storm. The bakery bill had my sister's name on it, and a little note that still makes my heart ache, all for Brooke's perfect wedding day. My charcoal suit hung sharp against the peeling wallpaper. No flashy stuff, no extra decorations. I didn't want anything to take away from what I was about to say. Grandma Catherine's watch kept time with my heartbeat. She always said dignity didn't need an audience. Table for Caldwell, the hostess called out, leading me into Bellamy's. Sunday brunch, all fancy folks sipping mimosas over their eggs Benedict. My family sat huddled at a table in the corner, all stiff and formal like a wall. That empty chair, it might as well have had a bullseye on it. I stayed standing. Jenna, Mom's voice cut through that same old steel wrapped in silk tone. You're making a scene. All right, sit down. We're going to sort this out nice and easy, you know. That tone of Dad's lawyer, the one he uses to work people. I learned to spot that a long time ago during those grilling sessions when I was a kid. Brooke starts in, and it sounds totally planned out, hands all folded up like some preacher. Family above everything, right? We can fix this if only you'll. I just drove 10 hours in a blizzard. My voice is cool and calm, you know, like a surgeon's blade. The chatter around us fades. No plate, no hello, no asking if I even made it through the drive. You're twisting things. Brooke's champagne glass shakes, messing up her drink. Actually, I pull the little speaker out of my purse. I recorded it all. Brooke's face just goes white as her own voice fills the space. She drove 10 hours in a blizzard for what? To feel sorry for herself. Taran's laugh so mean follows. What if she crashed? I would have loved that silence and sympathy. Mom practically leaps across the table. Turn that thing off right now. Her sleeve swipes through the sauce. You don't get to spin this. Brooke's perfect nails claw at the speaker. The people at the table next to us are clearly watching us. I hold the device up, just out of her reach. You twisted things when you chose humiliation over truth. My fingers find the last stuff in my bag. The gas receipt floats down onto the tablecloth, like some dead leaf. That stupid cake bill landed right next to it, that awful reminder staring me in the face on what was supposed to be Brooke's perfect day. I'd have gladly sent the cake, truly. Those words were more for me than anyone else. I just wouldn't have driven through a freaking blizzard to deliver it myself. The huge windows showed the snow falling softly now, nothing like the crazy storm yesterday. My heels clicked on the marble floor as I walked away from them, from their frantic, messed-up arguing. The hostess, her face etched with years of who knows what, looked at me knowingly. "Your car's ready, ma'am," she said. I stopped at the door, not to look back at my family, but at the empty chair. It was like seeing a ghost of myself sitting there. The good girl, the dependable one, the one who always kept the peace no matter the cost. That version of me disappeared like frost on a warm window as I stepped out into the cold. The steering wheel felt familiar and comforting in my hands. I watched through the windshield as my family came storming out of the restaurant. Mom's scarf flew out behind her like she was charging into battle. Dad's face was dark, that same angry look that used to make me hide. Brooke just stood there on the steps, mascara running down her face. I turned the key. The warm air from the vents felt good on my face, finally melting away the icy grip of their expectations. That blizzard yesterday showed me something important. Sometimes, you gotta drive right through the worst of it to get to the sunshine. Man, sometimes getting back to where you belong means taking the road less traveled. My tires crunched on the fresh snow as I pulled away from the house. In my mirror, my family got smaller and smaller, just tiny figures in the white stuff, not the giants they seemed to be before. I breathed deep, that clean, cold air filling my lungs, heading toward a life they hadn't even imagined for me. The light turned red. I sat there, watching the snowflakes swirling in my headlights. They say each one's different, going its own way, just like me. The light changed, and I drove into the gentle snow, finally getting it. Sometimes you gotta burn bridges, not to wreck everything, but to light the way ahead. The sunrise painted the highway in orange and pink, a much nicer view than that glaring white from yesterday. I tapped my fingers on the wheel, not fighting the ice anymore, but just kind of keeping time with some old song in my head. Home's way out there, 500 miles of highway between me and my own life. My phone buzzed again, like 40 times since brunch. It was some number I didn't know, but the voicemail had a name I hadn't heard in ages. Aunt Lorraine. I pulled into a rest stop, parked under a giant oak tree, and hit play. "Jenna, honey," her voice, that Louisiana drawl, it was like a warm hug. "That video of you at brunch is all over the family chat. You didn't just clear your name, you torched the whole script. About time, I say. She paused, then her voice got softer. Call me when you get a chance. I've got some stories you need to hear. 3 more voicemails. Whoa, David, my cousin, whose Christmas invite mysteriously disappeared 2 years back. Then there was Uncle Marcus, who stopped showing up at family stuff after what Mom called a super awkward divorce. Even Brooke's future mother-in-law, wanting to push back their dinner plans until we figured out some weird stuff. Everything just started falling apart. My phone pinged a text with a screenshot of Brooke's engagement announcement. Comments were exploding under that perfect picture. Wait, wasn't there another sister? Where's Jenna? Didn't she get caught in that crazy storm? Mom's replies went up and then vanished, like little smoke signals, and every deletion just stoked all these questions. 20 years worth of picture-perfect family pics suddenly showed the empty spaces: the missing sister, cousins who never came around, an aunt who wasn't even invited. The truth was spreading everywhere. I unlocked my apartment. When the sun went down, the place welcomed me with nothing but silence. No expectations. No need to worry about what I said or how it would be taken. Just walls that knew me, my stuff, who I really was. The family photos on my hallway wall caught the last bit of light. I picked up each frame, looking at the fake smiles, the way everyone posed, the invisible strings keeping it all together. One by one, I took them down. Not all of them, though. The one of Grandma showing me how to bake stayed put. I remember my dad, pushing my first bike, all blurry in my memory. Then there's Christmas, Brooke and I in matching PJs, way before we started comparing ourselves and everything went sideways. Those moments weren't for show, they feel real. These days, I wake up without a buzzing alarm or checking my phone, and without even worrying about the things I'm gonna have to say to explain myself later. Mornings are easy now, no regrets, no tension in my gut, no need to calm everyone down or hide how I feel. Peace, that's what it is. Time kind of blends together, each day filled with these regular things that somehow feel special because they're simple. I drink my coffee while it's still hot. I leave work at the right time. I say no when I don't want to do something and everything's fine. Then a letter shows up. Fancy envelope, formal paper, the handwriting's unfamiliar. It said, "Dear Jenna, we haven't met, but I've heard about you always in bits and pieces, always with a catch. I'm writing because I need to understand the family Brooke's marrying into. Brooke and I are in therapy. What she's admitting about your family, it's shaken us both up. The storm thing was just the start. There's a lot more hiding underneath. I keep wondering how someone could just erase their sister. What else could they be okay with? I don't expect you to fix this. You already did the hardest part, just showing us the truth. Sincerely, James." I folded the letter, smoothing out every little crease. It took me 3 tries to write this back. James, thanks for getting in touch. This family you see now, this is us. Not better, not worse than how we made ourselves look before, just real. Honestly, there's more hope and healing than there ever was in pretending to be perfect. Whatever you and Brooke decide, I respect the path you're on to find the truth. I hope you find some clarity. Brooke called on a Tuesday night, about a month after that brunch. I almost didn't pick up. Her number wasn't in my contacts anymore, but something about when she called I knew. Some bad stuff just shows up right when you expect it. "Jenna," she started, her voice shaky like ice about to break. "I have to tell you something." I sat on my windowsill, watching the pigeons fly around on the power lines. "I'm listening." "I was jealous," she blurted out, like the words had been bottled up inside her forever. "God, I was jealous for so long I forgot how to be anything else. You always seemed so put together, like you knew exactly who you were. Mom and Dad, they'd push us together, then pull us apart, and I didn't invite you because I was scared." "Scared of what?" I asked. "Of being next to you," she confessed. "Of everyone seeing us together and wondering why they didn't choose you instead of me." She took a shaky breath. "The blizzard, that just proved it. Who drives through a blizzard for someone who didn't even want them there? Only you, it's always you." I watched the pigeons settle back down on the wires, rearranging themselves. "You could have just told me," I said. "Would it have even mattered?" "Yes," she answered. We were both surprised by how simple it was. "I would have still sent the cake," she continued, "but I wouldn't have driven through that storm to bring it myself. There's this quiet that settled in and it feels better. I finally started going to therapy. Brooke's voice is for real. Actual therapy, not just talking with James. There's so much stuff to sort through. It's good. When I say that, it's real, without any hidden agendas or anything." She says that's the most human thing you've said in ages. "Can we?" She pauses, rethinking what she wants to say. I get that I can't ask for anything, but if there's a shot I'm open to a relationship, I tell her. Just not like before, that was too much. The pigeons suddenly scatter, all those wings beating against the fading light. Something changed when they took off. It was like a door slamming and a window opening at the same time. Some bad weather actually clears the air. The autumn light pours into my living room, highlighting dust that dances over my ferns. 6 months ago, these walls were the green my mom picked out. Now they're a warm terracotta, making the room feel like there's always a sunset. My friends are sprawled out on hand-me-down furniture, chosen for being comfy instead of looking perfect. Bread, please, art goddess. Rachel reaches out for the bread, and I pass her the board. She's been calling me that since I saved her great-grandmother's wedding photo from water damage last spring. I still can't believe you saved those colors, Mark says. He raises his glass and toasts Jenna, the keeper of things worth saving. The empty chair at the table catches the light. I used to stuff every room, just so it wouldn't look like I was alone. Now just one empty chair reminds me that what you choose is way more important than how many people are there. I laugh out loud sometimes, and it's real, not the fake kind I used to do. 6 months ago, my brain was always working overtime, always trying to fix everything. These people, they know my whole deal. They saw me mess up, and they saw me start over. They bring food when I'm down and tell me what I need to hear, even when it's tough. My phone vibrates. It's a text from my mom. Thanksgiving plans, she wrote. Gotta talk about it. Traditional dinner at 4. Brooke and Thomas said your spot's saved. The old me would have jumped right on that, typing away. Of course, that Jenna would have bylaid on her friends who actually wanted to hang out with me. I would have driven for 10 hours just to sit in a chair that felt more like an interrogation room than a place at the table. I set my phone down and pick up a roasted carrot. That text can wait until later. My therapist, Julie, says I'm finally living life at my own speed. My journal on my desk is filled with 6 months of sessions, all about pulling apart what I thought was love from what was just duty. You know what this sauce needs? Mark sniffs his plate, pretending to be serious. A little more garlic. Everything needs more garlic, according to you, Rachel jokes and throws a roll at his head. He catches it, still grinning, and takes a big bite. The timer beeps from the kitchen. Okay, so forget about that garlic thing for a sec. I scooted my chair back, my bare feet making no noise on the floorboards. They don't echo like they used to. The kitchen smelled amazing, all lemony cake. Simple, the way I like it. No fancy lavender this time, no trying to impress anyone with some crazy recipe. Just butter, sugar, flour, and lemon zest, all mixed up perfectly. That careful measuring is something I learned from my conservation job. I was testing the cake with a toothpick, and Brooke's voice popped into my head. It sounded different, all stiff and flat, like she was wearing a mask. I've started seeing Dr. Harrison, and she's helping me figure out why I am the way I am, why we are. There was this huge silence between Brooke and me, that unspoken understanding. It's brutal looking at yourself without all the makeup and pretending. But I told her, yeah, it's hard. I didn't rush to make things better, or give her some fake forgiveness she hasn't earned yet. I just let her be, watched her take those first shaky steps toward being honest. The cake came out of the pan perfectly, a nice clean whoosh. No need for fancy frosting or a big message. It was enough just to make something beautiful, just for the sake of making it. Dad still won't talk to me. Mom keeps guilt-tripping me or dropping these passive-aggressive hints about making up, but only on her terms, of course. But then last Sunday, Sarah, my cousin, called. She said, I've been watching you, her voice all choked up. The way you stood up for what's right, the way you spoke your truth. I need to learn how to do that. They're trying to force her into this wedding, making all the same old choices, living out the same old script. The words just poured out of me, all that stuff I'd learned the hard way. I finally got it. What you're worth ain't about what other people think. We talked for 2 hours straight, that first time. Now we video chat every week, a little group of us, being honest with each other, trying to rebuild after everything that went down with the family. Aunt Linda even joined last time. And Uncle Paul texted me yesterday, begging for the link. The cake's cooling on the counter, and I can hear my friend laughing from the dining room. The first snow's falling outside, big, fluffy flakes. It's nothing like that blizzard 6 months ago, the one that totally wrecked everything. I look in the mirror, and I see both the old me and the new me staring back. The woman who used to drive through a hurricane to make sure everything was perfect is now just baking for fun. The girl who spent years trying to make the family look good is finally letting her own light shine. Snow's dusting the fire escape. My hands still remember the weight of that fancy lavender lemon cake I made, and how freezing cold that steering wheel was. But tonight, it's just a plain white cake in my hands, simple and real. Here in my kitchen, all quiet, I cut the first slice. The knife went right through those buttery, yellow crumbs, and the smell of lemon filled the air. This piece is just for me. I lift the fork, close my eyes, and take a bite. And I realize peace. You don't need anyone's okay to have it. It hits me in little ways, like saying no to things I don't want to do, even if it feels kinda guilty. Or speaking my mind without second-guessing myself, not caring if people like it or not. It's about deciding what's important to keep and what I can just let go of. Jenna, Rachel calls from the dining room. If you're having some deep thoughts in there, that's cool, but we're seriously craving dessert. I burst out laughing, a real, honest-to-goodness laugh. Coming, I yell back. I cut more cake, piled it onto my grandma's old plates, the ones she used to use at holidays. And before you even think about it, no, the cake doesn't need more garlic. Their happy groans and laughter feel like a warm blanket as I bring out the plates. The empty chair at my table catches the last of the sunlight, and it just feels full of possibilities. I'm finally ready for whatever comes next.